Hi, I'm Miss Lucy, and I've been told I'm real outstanding in my field. Of course, here on Zonrecker Farm, we have rice fields and bean fields. Not string bean fields, but soybean fields. And we'll be cooking some beans today. So come on, chat, let's get Bonjour, welcome to Miss Lucy's Cajun Classroom. I'm your host, Miss Lucy, and your teacher. And today, I'm going to teach you how to cook some beans, string beans that is. But first, we're going to prepare a wonderful jambalaya to go with that vegetable. Okay? So I've started browning my sausage. Of course, you can use andouille, and it gives it a richer, spicier flavor, and that's what I'm using today. I call it sausage because andouille is a French sausage. We're going to brown this real pretty because it'll form a gratin on the bottom of the pot, which will add to the flavor of your jambalaya. Righty. So while that's browning, I'm going to go and chop my onions, bell pepper, and celery because, you know, you've got to have the trinity in a great jambalaya. So I'm going to get here. First thing I'm going to do is get the onions. I don't like chunky onions in my jambalayas, so actually what I'm going to teach you is how to fine-tune these. This is real small. It doesn't take as long to cook that way. You don't want your onions to be chunky. Okay, so this is how you chop them. Okay. I'll add these to the bowl I've already pre-cut. And this is your celery. Do the same thing. You want to go ahead and chop them real fine. Yeah, good. A lot of the cooks like chunky vegetables, and of course that's your choice. If you like it chunky, that's okay, but I prefer mine real fine. It seems like the flavor gets absorbed much better and quicker that way. And of course, time is very important in the kitchen. Okay, this is your celery. I've already pre-cut some, which I'm losing some on the board here, but that's okay. And then my bell pepper. I'm going to chop up some more bell pepper, which I need to add. Of course, you julienne them first, like this. Okay. Real fine. Real hard. Be careful not to cut your fingers, but now it's very important to have good sharp knives, but sometimes the knives that are the sharpest are not the ones that cut your fingers. Sometimes the knives that are not the sharpest are the ones that cut your fingers. Put that in here because I'm going to use that. Okay. Now, then we'll have the onion tops, which will go in last. Of course, this is already rinsed. You make sure your onion tops are rinsed. I like to cut mine all even, the tips like this. And of course, here you go. You go again, very fine, real quickly. Now, I've been taught by some of the schools I went to that when you lay your fingers against the knife, you can go quicker, and that'll keep you from chopping the fingertips off into the food. So maybe that's a good rule to remember. Now the next step, see this? This is perfect. The next step is that I'm going to take the sausage, andouille, whatever, out of the pot, lay it on absorbent towel, because this helps the grease to just be absorbed here. Yeah, that's why they call it absorbent towel. It absorbs the grease or whatever, water. So, okay. See how pretty? Oh, they're so tasty. And of course, I'm going to add my onions, bell pepper, and celery to this because you need to saute that. First is the onions. Let's see. Okay. This, I'll add my celery next. There you go. Hmm. And my bell pepper. Very good. And I'll mix it all together and let it saute real quick and easy. Now, round this together. You saute this. You don't want to overcook this because you'll be cooking it with your rice and your wonderful shrimp and crawfish. And how can you go wrong with those two ingredients when you make a jambalaya with those? Okay, then I'm going to throw my sausage or andouille back in. All together. Very good. All right, now the next ingredient, of course, is going to be your tomato sauce. Yeah. Just plain canned tomato sauce. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look, it's getting prettier and smells so good. Okay, that cook. Now this is supposed to cook for about maybe 10 minutes, but due to time element on TV, I'm gonna have to just saute it all together for just a few minutes, a few seconds maybe, while I add my main ingredient here. Of course, we're gonna have the shrimp, the beautiful Louisiana shrimp. Okay. Okay, then the crawfish. Louisiana crawfish, of course. Yeah. Mix all this together. Now remember that seafood usually draws water to any dish that you will be putting it in and cooking it. So you have to allow for that. In a few minutes, I'll show you what I'm talking about because they'll have a tendency to draw water to this, okay? Okay. Now while this is coming to, maybe I should add just a little bit, just a dab of water to this because it seems like I have a big pot over here. So you have to kind of gauge yourself with your water. Okay, that's good. You don't want it to be too tight. Okay. Now, while I let this come to a boil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my rice. Make sure I have the right amount for this big pot. All right, now I'm ready to add, well, let me season it first, because I think when you season stuff before you add your rice to it, it blends it all together. So you put your pepper sauce in here. And of course, you have your salt and black pepper. I'll use my salt box here that my grandmother always used. Do it by hand. Okay, you really need to season it very more than you would if you were just cooking regular stuff. Okay. Then, of course, the black pepper. See how your sauce is cooking real pretty? That looks so good. I think you could just throw it over cooked rice and not even bother to put the rice in there. But then, remember that when you add rice to a dish, the rice absorbs the flavor of the ingredients that's in. Rice in itself is basically tasteless. But what makes it so good is when you add it to something, it just absorbs the good flavors of the main ingredient. So, ooh, look how pretty this is. All right, well now I'm ready to add my rice to it. Very good. Let's see. Okay, that's good. Just now, get over here. Good. And you mix it all together. I guess I'm going to have to add my onion tops. Now you see how your rice really will, it'll double in bulk. So you'll have much more rice than what you're looking at now. Okay. Let me add my onion tops to this. Okay. Because onion tops really add flavor, and it adds color, but mainly flavor. Okay. Ooh, it's really boiling. Good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to just add just the right amount of water in here. Usually it's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice, but I'm going to gauge it by my eyes since I've cooked rice practically every day all my life. It seems like all my life, but ever since I've been married anyway. Good. Now a good rule of thumb, well, the rule of finger to go by is that you add your water, and you want it to be sure to cook, so you kind of leave just a little bit above the rice, which is about the first joint of your finger. So rule of finger is usually what you like to use. Okay, water back up. Now, yeah, this is perfect, wonderful, great. See how nice, and see, I can almost measure it. If it wouldn't be so hot, I could just measure it right here, right, you see? Told you I could do it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this and let it simmer for about 15-20 minutes, just until the rice is done. And of course you don't want it to be mushy, so you must turn it off as soon as you see that all the water's washed out of the, well, cooked out of it rather. You just turn it off because you don't want it to get mushy on you. That's one thing that people make a mistake. They put either too much water or they let their rice cook too long. So I'm going to cover it. Let me stir it just one more time. Make sure oh yes,